A while back, Epic launched Unreal Engine 5 into early access, and showed it off with a whole slew of shiny things and buzzwords. They got Nanite, Lumen, World Partition, Megascans, MetaHuman, 3D HD. There's no doubt it's cool, but I have one question. Is all this actually for us? You see, there's a reason it's still in early access, and Epic has made it very clear that it's not for everyone. Yet. So here's my first impressions and general thoughts. From a performance perspective of an upper mid-tier gaming laptop, and an overall UX perspective of someone who has a general experience of game engines and programming, but hasn't used Unreal Engine before. So I made a blank project with base assets placed, and oh, what do you know, it eventually started. Okay, so let's see. I have no idea what I'm looking at. So the Lumen bounce lighting is definitely working, and my computer is chugging. Ugh, looks so satisfying. The indirectly lit areas are fuzzy like a film grain. I'm guessing the better the computer is, the crisper it looks. Not sure what that shimmer is about though. Also, the skylight doesn't seem to do anything. I'll have to get used to the overall editor layout. Took me a while to even find this scene tree, if this thing actually is a scene tree. It's done like a folder system, and it's sorted by object type, which I guess actually makes sense, but I've never seen it done like that. Looks like they gave us a bunch of pre-made textures to use as well. Wow, that took a while. So let's test Lumen by duplicating this into a wall and try bouncing some light. Shit. Control D didn't work. There we go. It's dynamically reflecting light onto the brick. So Lumen is cool, performance isn't great, and the layout is confusing. The other main feature is supposed to be Nanite, which is a system of dynamically optimizing extremely detailed models based off of distance to camera. One of the problems I might see with it is that Nanite is most useful for extremely high detailed models, but even if it can optimize them to run faster, they'll still take up a lot of disk space. The engine and project files themselves already take up about 38 gigabytes. Like, I can select this chair, and I can see the model. Can I see the model? Okay, so I opened it up, enabled Nanite, and does that actually change my frame rate at all? It's almost like the Nanite has made it worse, even though it's supposed to make it better. I should mention that I got a crash earlier when I enabled it before, but this chair is relatively simple, so I wouldn't expect it to make much of a difference anyway. Let's try importing some Megascan assets, or at least see what the file sizes on them are. Maybe we'll get natural looking ones. What the fuck? It's probably hard to tell, but even though I'm getting a high frame rate, it's actually really laggy. So how the fuck do I even download them? I had to give up on Megascans because my computer does this thing where it forgets what the internet is when it's stressed out. Another attraction to Unreal Engine, for me at least, is that you can code your game logic in C++. Or can you? Supposedly there's supposed to be a .sln file here, which is a project file for coding our C++ in Visual Studio, but it ain't here. And when I try to make one, it gives me this error. I can make scripts and they'll be generated properly, but they won't be shown in the editor, and there's no way to compile them. I've tried making a new project with C++ pre-implemented from the Unreal launcher, but it gives errors and wouldn't build. I started from scratch several times and looked it up and everything. It seems to be a known issue a lot of people have, but none of the suggested fixes have worked. So no C++ game logic for me and some subset of users. That's it! 0 out of 3 helicopters, no stars, review is over. Okay, so I could still try reinstalling Unreal Engine 5 and seeing if that fixes it. Since it seems to work for some people, I'm sure there's probably some way of fixing it. But why should I waste my time troubleshooting something that's obviously not working properly, when there are so many other options for game engines? Now let's be clear. This is still in early access, and there's no doubt that it's a great tool when working properly and in the hands of someone who actually knows what they're doing. Yeah, it probably would have been smarter if I had started with Unreal 4. The learning curve of Unreal in general is pretty steep. Anyway, so I would have liked to have worked with it a little longer and maybe made a game with it, but for me it's unusable right now. But is it for you? Well, if the year is 2022, and you have a high-end PC and prior experience with Unreal Engine, then you should try it. Anyone else? Absolutely not. 0 helicopters. For now. I do think that once they work out the kinks and the hardware that this is really made for becomes more commonplace, Unreal Engine 5 could do a lot to bridge the gap between indie or even hobbyist devs and the A's. Because the main focus of all the new features seems to be to make photorealism easy. I know a lot of smaller devs these days like to shit on realism, but I think the real reason for that is just because they know they can't have it. It's like that really pretty girl in class who you resent for no particular reason, but things are changing. And I'm calling it now. The next 10 years is going to be full of uncanny valley as shit, poorly optimized indie games that all use the same Megascan assets. And it's going to be beautiful.